Hello and welcome you all to the Military History channel. Today we are moving ahead and will discuss the part 1 of chapter 6, that is about the loss of Jhangar, written by Shri S.N. Prasad and Dharampal. Let me start by taking you back to the year 1947, a year of immense significance in the history of the Indian subcontinent. The year when the British Empire finally loosened its grip, giving birth to the two new nations, India and Pakistan. But this newfound independence was not without its challenges. The partition brought with it a wave of unrest, displacement, and the seeds of a conflict that would continue to shape the region's future for decades. And at the heart of this conflict lay the disputed territory of Jhangar. Now, why was Jhangar so important, you might ask? Jhangar was not just any piece of land. It was a region of immense strategic importance, nestled in the rugged terrain of Jammu and Kashmir. Control over Jhangar meant more than just owning a piece of territory. It meant having a significant military advantage over the surrounding areas. It was the kind of place that could tip the scales in a broader conflict, making it a prize worth fighting for. As a newly established nation of the India and Pakistan found their feet, they quickly realized that Jhangar could not be ignored. Both nations laid claim to it, each seeing in it the potential for a strategic edge in the larger conflict over Kashmir. The significance of Jhangar was not lost on the military leaders of the time. It became a focal point, a hotly contested piece of land where the first sparks of military confrontation between India and Pakistan would fly. But let's not forget that this was not just about land. The battle for Jhangar was also a battle for something much deeper: national pride, control, and the assertion of sovereignty. The military confrontations that took place here were intense, brutal even, with both sides knowing full well that the outcome of these battles would set the tone for the future. A victory in Jhangar was not just a geographical win, it was a symbolic victory, a message to the world about who held the upper hand in this burgeoning rivalry. This period, marked by the struggle of Jhangar, added yet another critical chapter to the already complex Kashmir conflict. It highlighted the deep-seated tensions between India and Pakistan, tensions that had their root in the history but would manifest in the violent and often tragic ways. The fight for Jhangar underscored the harsh reality of territorial disputes. Disputes that were not just about maps and border but about identity, power, and the future of regions caught in the throes of conflict. And so, as we reflect on this chapter, we see the Jhangar was more than just a battleground. It was a symbol of the larger struggle that would continue to plague India and Pakistan. A reminder of the enduring challenges that come with the quest for dominance and control in a region as complex as Kashmir. Talking about the Poonch defense, friends, during the 1947-48 conflict, a defense of Poonch became a remarkable tale of courage and determination. Surrounded and besieged by Pakistani raiders, the defenders of Poonch, comprising Indian soldiers and local militias, found themselves in an incredibly challenging situation. With severe shortage of supplies and under relentless attack, their situation was dire. Despite being outnumbered and facing overwhelming odds, the defenders exhibited extraordinary bravery, holding their ground with unwavering resolve. The Indian Army, recognizing the critical importance of Poonch, launched successful air and ground operations. These operations eventually broke the siege, ensuring that Poonch remained under Indian control. The victory was not just a strategic win, but also a significant morale boost for the Indian forces. The defense of Poonch became a symbol of resilience and crucial victory in the broader conflict of Kashmir, highlighting the determination of the Indian soldiers and their local allies in the face of adversity. Moving next, friends, for the loss of Jhangar and Poonch defense, we'll cover the topic under following heads. Let us have an overview of it. Let me start by taking you to the December 1947, a time when the stakes in Jammu and Kashmir were higher than ever. The loss of Jhangar, a strategically crucial region, marked a turning point in the conflict between India and Pakistan. It was not just about losing territory, it was about the increasing hostilities that would define the broader struggle for Kashmir. Now let's dive into the Uri sector. This region was immense importance in the defense of Jammu and Kashmir, and the composition of the Uri garrison reflected this. The troops stationed here were a diverse and a determined group, fully aware of the challenges they faced. They knew that holding this sector was vital for the security of the entire region. When we talk about defense, we just mentioned the actions taken in the Uri. The garrison's defense was marked by intense bravery and strategic acumen. But no discussion of Uri would be complete without touching on the Bhatgiran affair, a critical moment that significantly impacted the course of the conflict. The aftermath of Bhatgiran revealed just how the high stakes were, reshaping the military strategies on both sides. Shifting our focus to the Poonch, the formation of the Poonch Brigade was a direct response to the escalating threat in the region. The enemy's strength in the Poonch was formidable, making the defense of the area a daunting task. But the Indian forces, undeterred, pressed on with determination. Air support played a crucial role in the defense of Poonch. The construction of the Poonch airstrip was a race against time, a lifeline for the besieged forces. And from this airstrip, critical air operations were launched, providing much needed supplies and reinforcement. The strategic placement of defensive positions in Poonch was another key factor in withstanding the enemy's relentless attack. And finally, the enemy attack on the Poonch were fierce and unyielding, pushing the defenders to their limits. But the resilience and courage displayed during these battles ensured that Poonch remained a symbol of defiance and strength in the face of overwhelming odds. The loss of Jhangar might have been a setback, but the defense of Poonch showed that the world that India was determined to protect its territory and its people no matter the cost. Let's go ahead and discuss the first topic, that is, we'll have a look on the loss of Jhangar. Let's begin by understanding the strategic significance of Jhangar right after the partition in 1947. A region quickly became a fiercely contested battlefield between India and Pakistan. It was more than just a land, it was a symbol of power, a strategic point that could tip the balance in the favor of whoever controlled it. As tensions escalated between the two newly formed nations, Jhangar's value became apparent to both sides. The battle for this territory was not just about geography, it was about asserting dominance. The loss of Jhangar in December 1947 was a pivotal moment in this struggle. It altered the dynamics of the conflict, raising the stakes and intensifying the broader Kashmir conflict. And this event did not just highlight the immense strategic importance of Jhangar, it set the stage for future clashes in the region. Both India and Pakistan were now more determined than ever to secure their positions in Jammu and Kashmir, leading to a prolonged and complex conflict that would continue to shape their relations for decades. Gentlemen, December 1947, when the peaceful landscape of Jhangar was shattered by sudden invasion, Pakistan's rebel militias stormed into the region. And this was not just an incursion, it was the spark that ignited the First Indo-Pakistan War. A tranquil valley of Jhangar, once touched, quickly became the heart of the fierce battle for control over Kashmir. This invasion didn't just raise tensions, It pushed both nations to the brink of full-scale conflict. Jhangar, with its immense strategic importance, turned into a critical battleground where the fate of the region was at stake. The bold move by the tribal forces was not merely a military maneuver. It ignited a conflict that would shape the destinies of India and Pakistan for years to come. What happened in Jhangar was more than just a beginning of a war. It was the start of the battle that would define the future of both nations. Jhangar became a powerful symbol representing the broader struggle over Kashmir, a struggle that would leave an indelible mark on the history of the subcontinent. Last, we'll talk about Indian military responses. Gentlemen, let me start by taking you back to the early days of conflict, to a moment that demanded swift and decisive action. Soon after the invasion of Jhangar, the Indian Army launched Operation Duck, a bold and a daring attempt to reclaim this critical territory. Now, what does the Operation Duck signify? It was more than just a military operation. It was a statement of intent, a demonstration of India's resolve to protect its sovereignty. Indian troops, with unparalleled bravery and determination, fought tooth and nail to recapture Jhangar. They knew the stakes. They knew that the control of Jhangar was not just a matter of land, but a matter of national pride. The battle was fierce and every inch of the ground was contested with grit and valor. Yet, despite their courage and well-laid plans, the operation fell just short of its ultimate goal. This was not a failure, though. Operation Duck highlighted the resilience and spirit of the Indian Army, underlining the immense challenges they faced in those turbulent days. It showcased the complex and grueling nature of the conflict. A conflict where every decision, every action carried weighty consequences. The operation might not have fully reclaimed Jhangar, but it left no doubt about the determination of Indian forces. And that's the essence of the story here. Operation Duck was not just about one battle or one objective. It was about setting the tone for the broader struggle over Jammu and Kashmir. A struggle that would test the limit of both nations and define the course of their futures. Jhangar became a symbol, a representation of the larger ongoing conflict, one that would continue to shape the destinies of India and Pakistan. Moving next, let's start with the introduction first. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by taking you back to the critical moment in the history, much like a crossroad where decisions shape the future. It was October 1947, and the Maharaja Hari Singh, the ruler of Jammu and Kashmir, was standing at such a crossroads. Amidst the political storm swirling around him with intense pressure from both India and Pakistan, he faced a choice that would not only determine the fate of his kingdom, but also alter the course of the entire subcontinent. The decision he made was bold, and some would say inevitable. Maharaja Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession, officially aligning Jammu and Kashmir with India. Now that was not just a routine practical move, it was a turning point that ignited a conflict, setting the stage for the first Indo-Pakistan War. The region of Jammu and Kashmir, once a peaceful land of valley and mountains, suddenly became the epicenter for a struggle for power, with both nations determined to assert their dominance over this strategically vital territory. Ladies and gentlemen, this was not an ordinary decision. It was a moment that would define the relationship between India and Pakistan for decades to come. Maharaja Hari Singh's choice set in motion a chain of events that has echoed through history. It laid the foundation for a conflict that would resonate across generations. A conflict over a land that both nations hold dear. And so, as we reflect on this turning point, we see that it was more than just a signature on the document. It was the spark that lit the flame of a struggle that would shape the future of two nations. Jammu and Kashmir, once a quiet region, became a symbol of a larger battle. A battle for identity, sovereignty, and control. And this is the legacy of Maharaja Hari Singh's decision. a legacy that continues to influence the subcontinent to this day. Moving next we'll have a word, we'll look into the infiltrations of Pakistani tribesmen. Friends, it's December 1947, a month that would quietly but forcefully alter the history of subcontinent. The air is cold, the night is dark, and under discover still the operations begin. Pakistani tribesmen and irregular forces moved silently into the Jammu and Kashmir. Their mission is clear: to take control of the region before anyone realizes what is happening. Now, this was not just another broader skirmishes, this was a bold, calculated strike. The kind of move that was not about engaging in a protracted conflict, but about seizing Kashmir in one swift, decisive blow. These forces intended to catch everyone off guard, to change the game before it even began. And what did this lead to? The first explosive war between India and Pakistan, a conflict that would have far-reaching consequences. I have said it before and I'll say it again. This secret invasion was not just a start of a conflict. It was the opening act of a drama that would forever alter the fate of Kashmir. Much like how stories shape our understanding of the world, this event shaped the narrative of an entire region. The quiet of that December night gave way to a noise that still echoes in the politics and history of South Asia today. We are a country that values its stories, its histories, its struggles. But just as importantly, we must remember how others might try to shape those stories for us. Just as the tribesmen sought to take Kashmir under the cover of darkness, so too do we see narratives being shaped in the ways that don't always serve our truth. That's why it is vital to tell our own stories, to hold on to our stories and to ensure that what we pass on to the next generation is the truth as we see it, not as others would have as belief. And so, as we reflect on that December night, let us remember that history is not just about what happened, it's about who tells the story of what happened. And in the case of Kashmir, that story is still being written. Next, we'll talk about the Indian military intervention. Friends, let me start by taking you to the moment of urgency and resolve, much like the decisions that define a nation's course. In 1947, after a sudden and audacious invasion by Pakistani forces, the Indian army knew that the swift action was essential. They launched Operation Duck, a daring and a decisive counter-offensive aimed at reclaiming the strategically vital regions of Jhangar. What was the purpose, we might ask ourselves. The Indian troops, driven by unyielding courage and a deep sense of duty, understood that the Battle of Jhangar was not just about holding a piece of land. It was about securing the future of Jammu and Kashmir, ensuring that this newly acceded territory remained under Indian control. This operation was not just a military maneuver, it was a bold and calculated move to shift the momentum of the war. I remember reading that in times of war, strategy is everything. Ladies and gentlemen, Operation Duck was a turning point, showcasing the resolve of the Indian army to defend its border. And this success was not merely a tactical victory. It was a testament to the bravery and strategic acumen of the Indian forces. It marked a significant chapter in the early history of the Kashmir conflict, demonstrating that the stakes in this struggle were far higher than just territorial control. We are a nation that prides itself on its resilience, on the courage of those who stand to defend our borders. And in the broader context, Operation Duck was not just about one region. It was about asserting our place in a world where every action, every battle shapes the narrative. The operation's success gave us the confidence to face future challenges, knowing that we can protect our land and our people. As we reflect on this, it is clear that the story of Jhangar is more than just history. It is a reminder of the importance of strategic thinking, of bold decision, and of the courage to act when the moment demands it. And it is a story that continues to inspire as we move forward, knowing that our future is shaped by the choice we make and the actions we take to protect what is ours. Moving next we'll discuss about increasing hostilities. Friends, as the battle for control raged on, Pakistani forces escalated their tactics with a series of bold and daring attacks aimed directly at India's lifeline. Picture this, friends: supply convoys ambushed, vital communication lines severed, and critical routes blocked, all part of a calculated strategy to throw India's military operations into chaos. And these strikes were not just about causing damage, they were about crippling India's ability to fight, turning every moment into a struggle for survival. Pakistani forces were relentless in their effort to disrupt India's logistics and supply chains, knowing that every lost shipment or broken line could shift the balance of the war. This aggressive and calculated strategy didn't just create chaos, it pushed the conflict into a new and a more dangerous phase, with the stakes going higher than ever. The battlefield became a high-stakes game of survival, where each side fought not just for territory, but for the very means to continue the fight. Gentlemen, on 24 December 1947, the battle for control over Jammu and Kashmir took a dramatic turn. Pakistani tribal militias, in a bold and a decisive move, stormed the strategically vital town of Jhangar. This was not just another skirmish. Jhangar was the linchpin of the region, and its capture sent shockwaves through Indian defenses. The fall of Jhangar was just a loss of territory. It struck a devastating blow to India's control over Jammu and Kashmir, disrupting crucial supply lines and communication network. This victory handed the Pakistani forces a significant upper hand, shifting the balance of the conflict and setting the stage for even fiercer battle to come. For India, the fall of Jhangar was a wake-up call, a stark reminder of just how high the stakes had become in the struggle for Kashmir. It was a moment that highlighted the intensity of the conflict and the fierce determination of both sides to control this strategically crucial region. Gentlemen, we'll talk about the attack on Nowshera on 26 December. Just after 2 days after the fall of Jhangar, on 26 December 1947, Pakistani forces unleashed another powerful attack, and this time targeting the town of Nowshera. This assault was not just another clash, it was a calculated move aimed at breaking through Indian defenses and capturing another critical position in Jammu and Kashmir. The attack on Nowshera tested the Indian army mettle and tactical skill as they faced immense pressure from a committed and highly organized enemy. The stakes were incredibly high, with both sides fully aware that the outcome of this battle could dramatically alter the course of the war. Nowshera became the next crucial battleground in this rapidly escalating conflict, where courage and strategy were pushed to their absolute limits. The battle for Nowshera was a pivotal moment, underscoring the intensity of the struggle for control over Jammu and Kashmir. Moving further ahead, we'll have a look on the Uri sector overview, the fierce battle for the control over the Uri sector. Gentlemen, imagine a battlefield where every strategic move could change the fate of an entire region. And this was the reality in the Uri sector during the Kashmir conflict. Indian forces found themselves locked in a life and death struggle against a formidable enemy force of 4,000 to 6,000 raiders and trained soldiers, all intent on capturing this crucial piece of land. The stakes could not have been higher. Controlling the Uri sector was key to holding the vital routes and preventing the enemy from advancing deeper into Jammu and Kashmir. The battle here were nothing short of epic, with both sides pouring everything they had into the fight. For the Indian soldiers, the Uri sector was not just another front, it was the heart of their mission to defend Kashmir. Every clash, every strategy, and every act of bravery in this sector added to the high stakes drama that defined the entire conflict. The struggle for the Uri became a symbol of the broader fight for control over Jammu and Kashmir, where the courage and determination of the Indian forces were pushed to their absolute limits. In the Uri sector, Indian forces found themselves up against an immense challenge. Intelligence report painting a daunting picture. The enemy's strength ranged between 4,000 to 6,000 well-armed and battle-hardened raiders. These were not just any fighters, they were seasoned, determined, and fiercely committed to seizing control of their crucial areas. The sheer size and strength of these enemy forces posed a significant threat to the Indian defense, turning every battle in the Uri sector into a true test of courage and strategy. This was not just about holding ground, it was about facing an overwhelming adversary in a high-stakes environment where every decision could tip the balance. Ladies and gentlemen, the intense pressure and the formidable nature of the enemy highlighted just how critical the Uri sector had become in the broader fight for Kashmir. It was here that the resolve of the Indian forces was pushed to its limits, making Uri one of the most decisive battlegrounds in the entire conflict. Next, we'll have a look on the presence of trained soldiers. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Uri sector, the Indian army challenge grew even more daunting with the presence of professional soldiers among the enemy rank. These were not just irregular fighters, they were seasoned warriors with extensive military experience, which added a whole new layer of complexity to the battle in Uri. The presence of these trained soldiers made every clash far more intense and difficult. They brought advanced tactics, discipline, and a level of strategic thinking that elevated the conflict to a new level of ferocity. For Indian forces, it was not about facing large numbers, it was about confronting an enemy that was both skilled and determined. Every encounter in Uri became a formidable test of resolve and military prowess. The Indian soldiers had to dig deep, fighting on not only against overwhelming odds, but also against an enemy that was prepared, strategic, and unyielding. The battle in Uri were no ordinary skirmish. They were high stakes confrontation that would push the Indian forces to their very limits. Let's look into the Uri garrison composition. Friends, the defense of Uri sector was entrusted to a formidable and a cohesive garrison, made up of some of the Indian Army's most elite and battle-hardened units. At the heart of the defense was 161 Infantry Brigade, serving as a backbone of the operation. Supporting them were the armored regiments of the 7 Cav, bringing crucial firepower and mobility to the battlefield. And on the front lines, 1 Sikh regiment, renowned for its bravery and discipline, held their ground with unwavering resolve. Meanwhile, the 4 Kumaon regiment leveraged their expertise in mountain warfare to navigate the rugged terrain of Uri with precision. Together, these units formed a powerful defensive force, each playing a vital role in holding the line against a determined and a numerically superior enemy. Their combined effort ensured that the strategically critical Uri sector remained under Indian control, proving the strength and coordination of this diverse garrison. In the Uri sector, the Indian army faced a daunting challenge that required every ounce of strategy and courage. Intelligence report revealed a formidable enemy force, estimated to be between 4,000 to 6,000 strong. But these were not just ordinary raiders. Among them were trained professional soldiers, seasoned in battle and equipped with the sophisticated tactics. This powerful combination of numbers and experience turned the enemy into a formidable adversary, ready to fiercely defend their positions. The sheer size and capability of this force transformed the Uri sector into one of the most critical battlegrounds of the conflict. Every move the Indian army made had to be calculated with precision, they had faced a well-prepared and a determined enemy intent on holding their ground. In the fight for Uri, the Indian forces knew they were up against a stronghold that would test their resolve and strategic acumen to the fullest. Let's talk about the importance of the Uri sector. Friends, the Uri sector was not just another battleground in Kashmir conflict. It was a beating heart of the struggle for control over the entire region. Strategically located, Uri was a key to maintaining access to the vital routes and safeguarding the broader areas of Jammu and Kashmir. For the Indian Army, defending Uri was about much more than holding a line. It was about securing the very future of their military campaign. Facing the determined and well-equipped enemy, the defense of the Uri became essential not just for immediate survival, but for the overall success of India's effort in the war. The battle fought in the sector had consequences that rippled far beyond the front lines, shaping the direction of conflict and the fate of Kashmir itself. The Indian forces knew that losing Uri could open the floodgates for the further enemy advances, making their stand here one of the most crucial elements of the entire war. Uri was not just important, it was indispensable to the outcome of the conflict, and every soldier in the sector fought with the knowledge weighing heavily on their shoulders. Moving next we'll have a look on the defense action in Uri. Battle of Endurance, the fierce engagement on 1st and 6th December. In early 1947, the garrison at Uri was thrust into a series of intense and critical battles. The enemy launched fearsome attack on 1st and 6th of the month, pushing the Indian forces to their limits. And these engagements, friends, tested the resolve and resilience of the soldiers stationed in Uri, as they faced overwhelming pressure yet remained determined to hold their ground. For the Indian soldiers, Uri was more than just a battleground. It was a strategic stronghold that had to be defended at any cost. The fierce battle on these days brought the garrison valor and commitment into sharp focus as they fought unrelentingly to repel the enemy and maintain control over this crucial sector in Kashmir conflict. The successful defense during these key battles not only reinforced the importance of Uri, but also demonstrated the Indian Army's unwavering resolve to protect it against all odds. These victories underscored the indispensability of Uri and highlighted the soldiers' dedication to safeguarding this vital region. Let's talk about the success of the 4 Kumaon Regiment. The 4 Kumaon Regiment's heroic stand. Ladies and gentlemen, the 4 Kumaon Regiment emerged as a critical force in the defense of the Uri sector during the intense battle of the Kashmir conflict. Known for their mountain warfare expertise, the soldiers of 4 Kumaon played a pivotal role in repelling relentless enemy attack. Time and again, they stood firm against waves of assault by the invading forces. Their unmatched skill and tenacity in the battle not only held the line but also inflicted heavy casualties on the enemy, significantly weakening the invaders. Gentlemen, the success of the 4 Kumaon Regiment in Uri were not just tactical victory, they were acts of heroism that secured their strategically vital region and ensured that Uri remained under Indian control. The courage and effectiveness displayed by the 4 Kumaon Regiment became a shining example of the Indian Army's resolve and capability during one of the most challenging phases of the conflict. Moving next we'll have a look on the challenges faced by the Indian units. Friends, the Indian units defending Uri were pushed to their absolute limits, facing immense challenge that tested their resolve at every turn. Outnumbered and confronted by a battle-hardened enemy with significant combat experience, each engagement became a fierce test of the garrison's resilience. The Indian soldiers fought under constant pressure with limited resources and in harsh terrain, all while defending against a numerically superior and well-prepared foe. These conditions made the defense of Uri one of the most grueling and demanding operations in the Kashmir conflict. Every victory came at high cost, and every setback served as a stark reminder of the daunting task ahead. Yet, through sheer determination and grit, the Indian units stood their ground and showcasing an unwavering commitment to protecting their strategically vital region. Their efforts established a legacy of services and resilience that continue to inspire. Let's move on. Let's have a look on the Bhatgiran affair. Ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of Kashmir conflict, the Indian Army executed a bold and a meticulously planned operation that would become known as Bhatgiran affair. The 4th Kumaon Regiment, renowned for their mountain warfare expertise, launched a surprise attack on the village of Bhatgiran. This was not just another engagement, it was a daring move designed to catch the enemy off guard. As the regiment stormed the village, their strategies paid off. The enemy, unprepared for such an audacious assault, was quickly overwhelmed. The 4th Kumaon Regiment not only captured Bhatgiran but also inflicted heavy casualties on the enemy, significantly weakening their position in their region. The victory at Bhatgiran was more than just a tactical success. It was a showcase of regiment's bravery, skill, and determination. The operation marked a significant turning point in the struggle to secure Jammu and Kashmir, proving that Indian Army could effectively challenge and overcome the enemy's stronghold. Ladies and gentlemen, the success of the Bhatgiran affair highlighted the strategic brilliance and fighting spirit of the Indian forces, setting the stage for further operations that would shape the course of the conflict. The stakes were high, but the soldiers of the 4th Kumaon Regiment rose to the occasion, leaving an indelible mark on the history of the Kashmir conflict. Following the initial success, friends, in capturing Bhatgiran, the 4th Kumaon Regiment of the Indian Army quickly found themselves in the danger situation. The triumph had hardly settled when the large Pakistani forces launched a surprise counter-attack, catching the Indian troops off guard. And this was not just a skirmish, it was a full-blown ambush that erupted into a fierce and brutal battle. The fighting at Bhatgiran became intense with significant losses on both sides. The Indian soldiers, who had been riding high on their earlier victory, now faced an unexpected and formidable challenge. The ambush tested their resolve and endurance to the fullest, turning the village into a battleground of unexpected ferocity. And despite their earlier triumph, this sudden and fierce counter-offensive by Pakistani forces underscored the relentless and unforgiving nature of the conflict. It served as a stark reminder of the ever-present danger that the Indian Army faced in their mission to secure Jammu and Kashmir. Friends, the battle at Bhatgiran became a critical moment in the ongoing struggle, highlighting both the bravery of the Indian troops and the fierce determination of their adversaries. Let's talk about some aftermath of the engagement. Gentlemen, the fierce engagement of the Bhatgiran left both Indian and Pakistani forces grappling with the significant losses, a stark reminder of the brutal and the unforgiving nature of the conflict in the Uri sector during the First India-Pakistan War. The heavy casualties on both sides underscored just how high the stakes were, with each side determined to control their strategically vital region. The intense clash at Bhatgiran was not just another battle. It was a brutal confrontation that revealed the relentless intensity of the broader struggle for Kashmir. The aftermath served as a poignant reminder of the human cost of war, highlighting the sacrifices made by those on the front lines. And despite the heavy toll, the battle at the Bhatgiran became a defining moment, showcasing the unwavering resolve to the Indian forces to defend their territory against formidable odds. It was a testament to their courage and determination, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. Next we'll have a look on the aftermath of Bhatgiran. Ladies and gentlemen, after the intense and grueling battle at Bhatgiran, the 1 Sikh regiment found itself at a crossroad. The fierce fighting had taken a significant toll. It was clear that a new strategy was needed. Instead of pushing forward recklessly, the regiment made a smart and strategic move. They withdrew to regroup and reorganize. This was not a retreat, it was a tactical repositioning, a necessary step to ensure that they would come back stronger and maintain their critical role in defending Jammu and Kashmir. The 1 Sikh regiment's ability to adapt and recover after such a tough engagement highlighted their resilience and determination. They knew that to win the larger battle, sometimes you have to step back, regroup, and then strike back with renewed strength. This move was all about preserving their fighting spirit and staying in the game for long haul, showing the kind of strategic thinking that was essential in such a high-stakes conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, the story is not just about military tactics. It is about the importance of resilience and smart decisions making in the face of overwhelming challenges. It is a powerful example of how even in the toughest moment, the right strategy can turn the tide and keep the fight alive. Moving next, even after the intense battle at Bhatgiran, enemy forces showed no sign of easing their assault on the Uri sector. They relentlessly targeted the Indian pickets, launching continuous attacks that kept the Indian garrison on constant high alert. The soldiers stationed in these pickets faced an unyielding enemy determined to break their resolve and seize control of the region. For the Indian forces, every day in the Uri sector was a test of resilience and vigilance. They had to remain ever watchful, responding to each new assault with unwavering determination and courage. The ongoing enemy pressure turned the Uri sector into a perpetual battleground where the Indian garrison ability to hold the line was constantly tested. And despite overwhelming odds, the soldiers at Uri stood firm, their steadfast defense proving crucial in protecting this strategically vital region. Their determination ensured that enemies' relentless effort to seize control did not succeed, showcasing the strength and resolve of the Indian forces in one of the most challenging phases of the conflict. Moving next we'll have a look on the lessons learned from the Bhatgiran affair. After the intense and costly battle at Bhatgiran, the Indian army faced a crucial turning point. The fierce engagement was not just a clash of arms, it was a critical learning experience that highlighted the challenge of facing a numerically superior and battle-hardened enemy. The Indian forces quickly understood that to succeed in the Kashmir conflict, they need more than just courage, they need to adapt and evolve. Bhatgiran drove home the importance of flexibility on battlefield. The Indian army realized that to outmaneuver their formidable adversary, they had to adjust their defensive positions, improve communications, and plan surprise attacks that would keep the enemy off balance. And this battle was not just a fight, it was a lesson in the necessity of smart, adaptive thinking. The experience at Bhatgiran informed future operations, leading to more coordinated and strategically sound effort. The key takeaway was clear in the high-stakes conflict. Victory would not require just bravery, but the ability to learn, adapt, and change tactics in response to the ever-evolving enemy. And this shift in the strategy became essential as the Indian Army continued its mission to secure Jammu and Kashmir. Moving next we'll have a look on the Poonch Brigade formation. In November 1947, as the Kashmir conflict intensified, the Indian Army made a crucial decision to strengthen its defense in the Poonch region, a key area under the threat from Pakistani forces. And to meet this challenge, friends, head-on, the Poonch Brigade was formed. The new brigade was specifically tasked with bolstering the defense of Poonch, a region of immense strategic importance due to its location and need to maintain control over supply lines and communication routes. The formation of the Poonch Brigade was a decisive move, reflecting the urgent need to protect its vital region from enemy advances. The brigade brought together some of the most capable units, each prepared to face the harsh condition and relentless attack that defined the conflict in Poonch. The creation of the Poonch Brigade marked a significant step in India's effort to secure Jammu and Kashmir, showcasing the army's commitment to defending every inch of its territory against a determined adversary. Ladies and gentlemen, this story highlights the strategic thinking behind military decisions and the importance of timely decisive action in the face of looming threats. The formation of the Poonch Brigade was not just about assembling troops, it was about ensuring that India had the strength and coordination needed to defend a critical region in a time of war. Moving next we'll have a look by the reinforcement by the 1 Para Kumaon. That is a game changer. In November 1947, the arrival of 1 Para Kumaon regiment brought a much needed boost to the defense of the Poonch region. This elite regiment, known for its experience and exceptional training, significantly strengthened the newly formed Poonch Brigade. The addition of these well-trained troops formed the brigade's defensive capabilities, making it more resilient and better prepared to face the ongoing onslaught from Pakistani forces. The presence of 1 Para Kumaon was a game changer, as these soldiers brought not only combat experience but also a heightened level of discipline and tactical expertise. Their arrival helped stabilize the situation in Poonch, providing a crucial layer of defense that bolstered the morale of the entire brigade. This reinforcement, gentlemen, ensured that the Poonch Brigade could hold its ground against the enemy, defending this strategically vital region with renewed strength and determination. It underscores how the timely arrival of reinforcement can turn the tide in a conflict. The 1 Para Kumaon regiment role in reinforcing the Poonch Brigade is a powerful example of how skilled and experienced troops can make a critical difference in the defense of a key area during a time of war. Similarly, moving ahead, on 10th December 1947, in response to escalating conflict in the Kashmir, the Indian Army officially established the Poonch Brigade. The formation was a decisive step in consolidating India's defensive effort in a strategically crucial Poonch area, a region that was under the constant threat from Pakistani forces. The Poonch Brigade was tasked with protecting this vital territory, ensuring that it remained under Indian control despite the relentless pressure from the enemy. The creation of the Poonch Brigade marked a significant turning point in the conflict, as it brought together a coordinated and focused military force dedicated to defending one of the most contested regions in Jammu and Kashmir. And with the official establishment of the brigade, the Indian Army could better reorganize its defenses, plan strategic operations, and ensure that Poonch remained a stronghold in the ongoing struggle. This moment signifies the importance of strategic military planning and need for organized defense in wartime. The establishment of the Poonch Brigade was not just about forming a new unit. It was about securing a crucial region and ensuring that India had a robust and coordinated defense against determined enemy. Moving ahead, we'll have a look on the enemy's strength in the Poonch. First, we'll have a look on the estimated enemy strength in Poonch. Ladies and gentlemen, intelligence report from the Poonch region painted a daunting picture for the Indian Army. Approximately 3,000 well-armed and battle-hardened enemy forces were operating in the area, supported by a steady supply of ammunition. And these hostile forces were not just large in number, they were experienced fighters, making them a formidable challenge for the Indian Army's defensive effort in the region. The presence of such a strong and well-equipped enemy meant that the Poonch Brigade had to be constantly vigilant and ready for intense combat. The enemy's strength in the Poonch highlighted the critical importance of the region and this tough battles that lay ahead. This situation demanded not only bravery and resilience from the Indian troops, but also strategic planning and effective use of resources to counter the significant threat posed by these hostile forces. This insight into the enemy's strength underscored the high stakes of the conflict in Poonch. It illustrates the immense challenge faced by the Indian Army as they worked to defend a region under siege, where every decision and every action could make the difference between the holding the line and losing ground to determine adversary. Moving next we'll have a look on the key enemy supply routes. That is enemy supply routes in the Poonch sector. Ladies and gentlemen, in the ongoing conflict in the Poonch sector, the enemy forces relied heavily on the several key supply routes to sustain their operations and reinforce their position. Among the most crucial of these were Kotli Rawalkot and Bagh Rawalkot. These routes serve as a vital lifeline, enabling the enemy to transport weapons, ammunition, and reinforcement to the front lines, ensuring their ability to continue the fight. Ladies and gentlemen, the strategic use of these roads allowed the enemy to maintain a steady flow of supplies, which posed a significant challenge to the Indian Army's effort to disrupt and weaken their positions in the Poonch sector. Controlling or cutting off these supply routes became a critical objective for Indian forces, as doing so would severely hamper the enemy's operational capabilities and give India a crucial advantage in the region. And understanding these supply routes reveals the tactical intricacies of the conflict. It highlights how controlling key roads and supply lines can turn the tide of war, making them not just pathways but strategic targets that could determine the success or failure of military operations in the Poonch sector. Moving next we'll have a look at the importance of securing Poonch. Why Poonch matter in the Kashmir conflict? Ladies and gentlemen, Poonch is not just another region in the Kashmir conflict. It is a linchpin in the broader struggle for control over Jammu and Kashmir. And securing Poonch is absolutely crucial to the Indian Army's effort to defend against Pakistani invasion. The region's strategic importance lies in its location, which serve as a critical junction for supply lines, communication routes, and military operations. Controlling Poonch means maintaining a strong defensive position that can help protect the rest of the Jammu and Kashmir from further enemy advances. It also ensures that India retains its hold over this disputed territory, preventing the enemy from gaining a foothold that could threaten the entire region. And for Indian Army, securing Poonch is about more than just holding ground. It's about safeguarding the future of Jammu and Kashmir as part of India. The significance of Poonch highlights the larger stakes of the conflict. It is a reminder that in warfare, certain regions carry certain immense strategic weight, and controlling them can be the key to victory. Securing Poonch is not just a military objective, it is a vital step in the defense of entire territory under siege. Moving next we'll have a look on the air support for Poonch. The air support of Royal Indian Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, in the intense and isolated Battle of Poonch, the Royal Indian Air Force emerged as a critical lifeline for the besieged Indian forces. The Royal Indian Air Force provided essential air supplies that made all the differences in the ongoing conflict. With the enemies exerting relentless pressure on the Poonch garrison, air attack by the Royal Indian Air Force targeted key enemy positions, disrupting their operations and weakening their hold on region. But the Royal Indian Air Force role didn't stop at air strikes. They also conducted daring and successful supply drops, delivering much needed ammunition, food and medical supplies to the Indian troops on ground. These supply missions were often carried out under heavy enemy fire, showcasing the bravery and skill of the Royal Indian Air Force pilots. This air support not only bolstered the morale of soldiers in Poonch, but also played a pivotal role in enabling them to continue their defenses of the strategically vital region. The story of the Royal Indian Air Force involvement in Poonch highlights the indispensable role of air power in modern warfare. It underscored how the skies can become a battlefield just as crucial as the ground below, with air supporting tipping the scales in favor of those who commanded it. The Royal Indian Air Force effort in Poonch were not just supportive, they were a decisive factor in keeping the region under Indian control. Moving next we'll have a look on the construction of airstrip. Ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of the fierce conflict in Poonch, the Royal Indian Air Force undertook a mission that would prove pivotal to the Indian Army defense strategy: the construction of an airstrip in the region. The airstrip became a crucial lifeline, enabling the rapid deployment of troops, supplies, and reinforcements directly into the heart of the conflict zone. The construction of the airstrip was no small feat. It required swift action under challenging conditions, often while under the threat of enemy attack. Yet, the Royal Indian Air Force effort paid off, as the new strip significantly enhanced the Indian Army's ability to reinforce its positions, resupply its forces, and maintain a stronger, more flexible defense in Poonch. This airstrip not only improved the logistical capabilities of the Indian forces but also allowed them to respond quickly to the emerging threats, making it a game changer in the ongoing battle for control over the region. The story of the airstrip's construction highlights the importance of infrastructure in warfare. It shows how a single project carried out with determination and skill and can dramatically alter the course of a conflict, giving one side a crucial edge. The Royal Indian Air Force role in building the Poonch airstrip was not just about construction, it was about ensuring that the Indian Army had the resources and mobility needed to defend this vital region effectively. Next, we'll have a look on the vital logistical supports. In the high-stakes battle for Poonch, the Royal Indian Air Force provided indispensable logistical support that proved crucial in sustaining the Indian garrison. Faced with a determined and relentless enemy, the Poonch defenders relied heavily on the Royal Indian Air Force air attacks and supply drops to maintain their defensive posture. Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Indian Air Force precise and timely air attack disrupted enemy operations, easing the pressure on the ground forces and allowing them to hold their positions. Equally important were the daring supply drops, which delivered essential ammunition, food, and medical supplies directly into the besieged area. And these missions ensured that the garrison could continue to fight, resist the enemy advances, and maintain morale even under the most challenging conditions. This narrative highlights the critical role of logistical support in the warfare. It underscores how the Royal Indian Air Force efforts were not just about combat but about keeping the lifeblood of the defense flowing, ensuring that the soldiers on the ground had everything they needed to withstand the siege and protect the strategically vital region of Poonch. The Royal Indian Air Force support was quite literally the difference between holding the line and potential defeat. Moving next we'll have a look on the construction of the Poonch airstrip. Ladies and gentlemen, the construction of the Poonch airstrip was not only a military effort but also a powerful symbol of unity and resilience. Displaced refugees who had fled their homes due to the ongoing conflict actively participated in building this critical airstrip. Their involvement was not just a contribution, it was a demonstration of their deep commitment to the defense of the region they called home. These refugees, despite their hardship, worked alongside the Royal Indian Air Force and Indian Army engineers, laying the groundwork for an airstrip that would become vital to the region's defense. Their effort ensured that the airstrip was completed quickly, allowing for the rapid deployment of the troops and supplies to reinforce the Indian positions in Poonch. The collaboration between the military and the civilians highlighted the collective resolve to protect Poonch turning a challenging situation into an inspiring story of cooperation and determination. This story adds a deeply human element to the narrative. It shows that defense of Poonch was not just a military operation, it was a community effort, with refugees playing a crucial role in ensuring the region's survival. Their dedication in face of adversity adds a powerful layer to the story, reminding us that the fight for the Poonch was supported by courage and hard work of ordinary people who refused to give up on their land. Moving next we'll have a look on the airstrip impact on the supply and reinforcement. That is how the airstrip transformed Poonch defense. Friends, the construction of the airstrip in Poonch had a game-changing impact on the region's defense. This newly built airstrip enabled the rapid deployment of troops and crucial supplies, significantly bolstering the Poonch garrison's ability to resist the relentless enemy forces. What had once been a precarious situation with the garrison struggling to maintain its defenses was transformed by the ability to receive timely reinforcement and resupply missions. The airstrip allowed for the continuous flow of essential resources, ammunition, food, medical supplies, and additional troops directly into the heart of the conflict zone. And this constant supply not only strengthened the garrison's defensive posture but also boosted the morale of the troops, knowing they were no longer isolated and could rely on sustained logistical backing. The airstrip effectively turned the tide, enabling the Indian forces to hold their ground against a determined and numerically superior enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, this story highlights the critical role of infrastructure in warfare. The airstrip in Poonch was not just a strip of land, it was a strategic lifeline that kept the defenders supplied, reinforced, and ready to face whatever challenges came their way. Its construction marked a turning point in the battle, showcasing how logistics and strategic planning can be the key to overcoming even more daunting odds. Moving next we'll have a look on the significance of airstrip for Poonch operation. Ladies and gentlemen, the airstrip in Poonch was far more than just a piece of infrastructure. It was a critical asset that played a decisive role in the Indian Army defensive operation during the conflict. Its construction marked a turning point in the battle for Poonch, providing a reliable and efficient means of supporting the garrison with everything from reinforcement to essential supplies. The strategic importance of the airstrip cannot be overstated. It allowed the Indian Army to maintain a strong defensive posture in a region that was under constant threat from enemy forces. And by facilitating the rapid and continuous flow of troops, ammunition, and other critical stores, the airstrip ensured that the Poonch garrison could effectively resist the enemy's advances. This infrastructure became the backbone of Indian defense, enabling the military to sustain its operations and maintain control over this vital region. Understanding the significance of the airstrip highlights how strategic infrastructure can be a game changer in warfare. The Poonch airstrip was not just a logistical convenience, it was a crucial element that helped to secure victory in a contested and strategically important region, demonstrating the essential role of planning and infrastructure in successful military campaigns. Moving next we'll have a look on the air operations from Poonch. Let's talk about the regular air sorties to Poonch. Ladies and gentlemen, the Royal Indian Air Force played a crucial role in sustaining a defense of Poonch through a series of regular air sorties. These missions were the lifeblood of the garrison, delivering vital supplies such as ammunition, food, and medical aid directly into the conflict zone. The frequent air sorties ensured that the troops in Poonch had everything they needed to maintain their defensive postures against relentless enemy forces. But the Royal Indian Air Force effort didn't stop at the supplying the garrison. They also carried out critical evacuations of wounded soldiers, swiftly transporting them to safety for the medical treatment. And this dual role of delivering supplies and evacuating casualties made the Royal Indian Air Force an indispensable part of the Poonch operation. Their continuous air support not only kept the garrison well equipped but also bolstered the morale of the troops, knowing that the help was always within reach. This emphasizes the importance of air operation in modern warfare. The regular air sorties conducted by the Royal Indian Air Force were more than just flights. They were missions that kept the Poonch garrison alive and fighting. The ability to provide continuous support from skies was a key factor in the garrison's ability to hold out against the enemy, highlighting the critical role of air power in sustaining and securing victory in a challenging conflict. Let's talk about airlifting of the mountain guns. Ladies and gentlemen, in the move that significantly bolstered the defense of Poonch, the Royal Indian Air Force executed a daring operation to airlift critical mountain guns to the beleaguered garrisons. These mountain guns were a game changer, providing the Indian forces with much needed firepower to counter the determined and well entrenched enemy forces in the region. The airlift was a complex and high-risk operation, but its success meant that the Poonch garrison was no longer at a disadvantage in terms of artillery support. The arrival of these powerful mountain guns allowed the Indian forces to launch more effective counterattacks and strengthen their defensive positions, making it far more difficult for the enemy to advance. And this boost in the firepower was a pivotal moment in the Poonch operation, tipping the scale in favor of the Indian Army. Ladies and gentlemen, airlifting mountain guns to the Poonch highlights the ingenuity and bravery involved in the modern military logistics. It underscores how strategic airlift can quickly transform a defensive position, providing the necessary tool to hold the line and push back against the formidable enemy. The Royal Indian Air Force operation was not just a logistical feat, it was a vital contribution that helped secure the defense of a critical region in the Kashmir conflict. Moving next we'll have a look on the importance of the Poonch airstrip. The construction of the Poonch airstrip was a pivotal moment in the Kashmir conflict, representing a significant achievement that dramatically enhanced the Indian Army ability to defend the region. Friends, the airstrip became the lifeline for the Poonch garrison, allowing for the rapid deployment of troops and the steady flow of vital supplies directly into the heart of the conflict zone. With the airstrip in place, the Indian forces could quickly reinforce their positions, respond to the enemy threats, and maintain a strong, decisive posture despite being under constant pressure. And the ability to efficiently transport reinforcement and critical resources such as ammunition, medical supplies, and artillery transformed the garrison's capability, making it far more resilient against the determined enemy forces. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of the Poonch airstrip highlights the critical role of infrastructure in military strategy. The construction of this airstrip was not just a logistical success, it was a strategic masterstroke that ensured that the Poonch garrison could stand firm in the face of overwhelming odds. It exemplifies how right infrastructure at the right time can turn the tide in a conflict, providing the means to sustain and secure a region of vital importance. Moving next we'll have a look on the defensive positions in the Poonch. Friends, in the defense of the Poonch, the Indian forces demonstrated strategic brilliance by establishing pickets on the ridges and spurs throughout the region. These elevated positions were carefully chosen to maximize visibility and control over the surrounding terrain, giving the Indian Army a significant tactical advantage. So friends, by placing pickets on these key heights, the Indian forces could monitor enemy movement more effectively, direct artillery fire with great accuracy, and control vital access points to the region. And this strategic sighting of pickets not only enhanced the overall defense of the Poonch but also made it far more difficult for the enemy to advance undetected or gain ground. These positions became the backbone of the garrison's defensive network, ensuring that the Indian army could hold its ground against a numerically superior and determined enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, the sighting of picket on the ridges and spurs was not just about occupying high ground. It was about creating a defensive system that leveraged the natural advantage of the landscape to protect a crucial region. And this approach highlights how thoughtful strategic positioning can turn even a most challenging terrain into a powerful asset in the defense of vital territory. Moving next we'll have a look on the significance of Poonch geography, that how Poonch terrain shaped the conflict. Friends, Poonch geography played a defining role in the Kashmir conflict, turning the region into a critical battleground that demanded a nuanced and strategic approach from the Indian army. The rugged terrain, characterized by deep ridges, dense forests, and narrow valleys, posed significant challenges but also offered strategic opportunities for defense. The strategic location of Poonch, situated at a crucial juncture within Jammu and Kashmir, meant that controlling this area was vital for maintaining supply lines, communication routes, and broader territorial integrity. The Indian army understood that leveraging the landscape was key to their defensive strategy, and by establishing pickets on high ridges and utilizing natural barriers, they could monitor and control enemy movements more effectively, making it difficult for the opposition to gain ground. Ladies and gentlemen, the geography of Poonch required the Indian forces to adapt to the harsh conditions and use the terrain to their advantage, turning the natural environment into a formidable ally. The rugged terrain was not just an obstacle, it was a critical factor that influenced every aspect of defense and ultimately helped the Indian army maintain control over this strategically vital region. Moving next we'll see on securing the key locations in Poonch, that is how the Indian garrisons secured Poonch vital points. Friends, in the intense struggle for control of Poonch, the Indian garrison strategically concentrated its effort on securing and defending key locations throughout the region. Recognizing that certain towns and infrastructure were of paramount importance, the garrison worked tirelessly to deny the enemy any foothold in these strategically vital areas. These key locations included crucial town, roadways, bridges, and supply depots that, if captured, could have significantly tipped the balance in favor of the enemy. And by fortifying these positions and maintaining a strong presence, the Indian force effectively safeguarded the region's most critical assets. This approach not only prevented the enemy from gaining control over important strategic points, but also ensured that Indian army retained the upper hand in broader conflict. Friends, by concentrating on the most vital locations in Poonch, the Indian garrison was able to maintain control over the region and thwart the enemy's attempt to seize power. It's a story of how prioritizing key targets and defending them with determination can be the difference between victory and defeat in a high-stakes conflict. Moving next we'll have a look on enemy attack on Poonch, that is relentless mortar and infantry attack on Indian picket. Friends, the Poonch region became a hotbed for intense conflict as enemy forces launched relentless mortar and infantry attacks on Indian pickets. These small strategically placed outposts were crucial to the defense of Poonch, and the enemy knew that targeting them would weaken the Indian garrison's overall defensive network. The mortar attack were particularly brutal, raining down explosive shells on the Indian positions, while coordinated infantry assaults aimed to overrun the pickets and break through the defensive lines. These attacks tested the resilience and determination of the Indian troops, who had to maintain constant vigilance and readiness to repel each new assault. And despite the relentless pressure, the garrison's defenders held their ground, employing both tactical skill and sheer grit to fend off the enemy's forces. The relentless nature of these mortar and infantry attacks highlight the high stakes of the battle, where the Indian garrison's ability to withstand continuous enemy pressure was crucial to maintaining control of the region. It is a powerful example of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds, showcasing the determination of the Indian troops to defend their positions and protect Poonch from enemy capture. Moving next we'll see how airlifted mountain guns turned the tide in Poonch. Ladies and gentlemen, the arrival of mountain guns airlifted by the Royal Indian Air Force proved to be a decisive factor in the defense of Poonch. These powerful artillery pieces provided the Indian garrisons with the enhanced firepower they desperately needed to counter the relentless attack from determined enemy forces. These guns were positioned strategically across the rugged terrain of Poonch. The mountain guns allowed the garrisons to deliver precise and devastating fire against enemy positions, particularly during intense mortar and infantry assaults. The increased firepower not only bolstered the Indian troops' ability to repel enemy attack but also disrupted the enemy advances, forcing them to reconsider their tactics. Next we'll have a look on the continued pressure on the Poonch garrison, that is the constant pressure on Poonch defenders. Even with the Indian Army determined defensive effort, the Poonch garrisons continue to face relentless pressure from enemy forces. The conflict in this strategically vital region was fierce and unforgiving, with the enemy maintaining a constant barrage of attacks aimed at breaking the garrison's resolve. The enemy's unyielding assault included mortar bombardments, infantry attacks, and attempt to infiltrate and overrun key positions. This relentless pressure underscored the high stakes of the battle for the Poonch, where every day brought new challenges and threat to the garrison's ability to hold the line. And despite these daunting conditions, the Indian troops stationed in the Poonch displayed remarkable resilience, fending off repeated enemy offensive and maintaining their defensive posture against overwhelming odds. It's a powerful reminder of the sacrifices made and extraordinary effort required to defend a region as critical as Poonch during such a challenging period in the Kashmir conflict. Friends, here we come to the end of part 1 of chapter 6, Loss of Jhangar. Please like, share and subscribe among your friends and stay tuned for more updates. Thank you and stay tuned.